What is up, down, and sideways, you beautiful individuals? It is another epi of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you, fine feathered individuals, for some iconic things we haven't seen happen in a decade in the LCK. We got losers bracket runs in the LEC and a bulldozer continuing to run people over in the LCK. But we begin with only the second career Penta kill on the resume of the GOAT. We're talking about Faker. Yes, it has been since 2015 that he got his first ever Penta kill, and 10 years later, despite the very best efforts of his buddy owner, second career Penta kill, he does it on the Ahri, but he wasn't even using the $500 skin, Mark.
No, not even on the $500 base skin. And then, of course, yes, owner probably shaking in his boots, making sure no extra damage coming through to steal it. Because let's be honest, we've seen him come close in the past couple of years. We've had quadra kills. We've had plays where then we're laughing and yucking it up of someone stealing it away. Not this time. It is the GOAT's Penta kill, and it does capitalize, put the exclamation point on the victory against DRX today. Yes, a victory against DRX is not one where you're normally putting exclamation point marks for T1, but it is an important step in the right direction for them, and with that capitalization of Faker's pentakill, bringing it home.
And I think, more important, the pentakill's fun, fanfare, it's Faker, that's great. But more importantly, this is far and away the best series individually Faker has had in this entire second split of LCK action. 16, 2, and 6 on that Ahri, and even back in the first game, he was 9, 1, and 4 on the Victor. He had a solid laning phase and had big impact in these team fights, which are two things that haven't really happened over the last couple of weeks.
That's the thing. It has been very strange, very unorthodox to see him not have that type of impact in lane, and especially with champions that he's picking, like the Victor, like the Ahri that we saw today. Difference is we saw the effects of it. You saw the lethality out there on the Rift. It felt very different right from the get-go in the way that he was moving and things that were going on in his lane and outside of it here for T1. I think they're still getting out of this whole smokescreen cloud, fog dispersion of whatever has been with the Smash and G.O.A.T situation. And it hasn't helped them that you've had perfection with GenG, Hanwha Life, roaring out of the slumber of first stand, all these sorts of things in the LCK. So it was really important to see this cohesive, competitive, and dominant of a force of an effort from T1 today.
And obviously, it's still a long climb to get back to that status that Hanwha Life and GenG are at, and probably they won't be sniffing that status until playoffs roll around and they have an opportunity to match up against some of these upper tier squads. But I will say, the G.O.A.T Smash situation, there was something beautiful about seeing the boys all line up, all five, to protect G.O.A.T from that final Jin shot. It felt like it was beyond the rift, the poetic justice there.
Felt like the brotherhood. It's back for T1. This is the type of vibes that everyone loves to see. And yeah, it's a one-off play type of thing. But as well, one of the other notable things to mention in this one, you got Kyria becoming the fourth player with 5,000 career assists.
Crazy how quick that happened. My God.
Instant. This is wild. And again, this is one of these players that we, ourselves and anybody else really that had been watching was able to instantly recognize the talent, the skill that this guy has, and that it is, it was going to be a skyrocket to the very top of the charts and become a legend. This is just another one of those accolades that you can throw in there for this storied career.
Shout out also Lahan's number 3 on that list. Another one that's, I think, surprising how high up he is, because it still feels like it's early on in both of their careers. But yeah, Kyria, even his first year on DRX, I think we immediately were dropping him into a top 3 support in the world. And surprisingly, he might have actually exceeded what those ludicrous expectations were for him early.
Pretty crazy to think about that, but yes, and he has been that important part of it. And I think the bounce back and really kind of just solidifying things down with the bottom lane, as we have seen it be more stable, and understanding that it is pretty much G.O.A.T in that starting role again once, and having that with Kyria, it has been a very good impact, good play for T1 in that bottom lane.
The other LCK matchup on the day was absolutely a bulldozing done by GenG. And, you know, it's sad because Nongshim, okay, T1's leveling up now, but it's felt like Nongshim has clearly kind of been the third best team in the LCK. And then you see the matchup against GenG, and they are not on the same stratosphere. They're not on the same planet of level of gameplay right now. And this series, again, was kind of a continuation of the last one where Duro and Ruler are popping off in that bot lane, opting into 2v5s and scaring Nongshim away. And the Nautilus buffers on the Poppy ulti this series out of Duro were absolutely disgusting.
I'm going to give T1 fans a little bit of grace here, a little buffer into this one to allow you to still feel good before we rain on your parade by telling you how great GenG is. This one is one of those ones where, combined with how well T1 did against DRX and the struggles of Nongshim against GenG, you can move your sights, acquire in the target eye Nongshim ahead of you in the standings, and envision how you're going to climb ahead of them. The problem is, once you've climbed ahead of them, you're starting to look really, really far up into the distance to see the other teams on the highest mountain of the LCK. And that's that GenG flag sticking at the very top. And it's not just Chovy sticking it into the mountain this time. As you said, it's Ruler and Duro stepping up to deliver it for GenG. And that is what's even scarier about this performance, is that we've gone on of this historical stretch, this unbelievable run of Chovy in the mid lane and his performance, which, by the way, continued in this series, one single death as well. And then we talk about adding in the lethality of this bottom lane. And this is, you know, maybe last week there was one other game we talked about. This is the first moment. This is the second one. And this one was even more impressive. This is the Ruler that left the LCK. This is the Ruler that dominated the LPL those years and now has come back to his organization to try and reclaim the throne of the LCK, to try and bring it to international success. His performances, the synergy that has developed alongside Duro, I'm buying in. I'm buying in all the way on GenG.
And another case in point for giving a long leash for a rookie in the LCK, because early on the LCK Cup, people were saying, Duro, he ain't no Lahens. He's maybe the biggest issue. He's the easy scapegoat for this GenG squad. And everyone said, patience, this guy's young, he's going to take time to develop. And now the last few weeks, and really this entire round 2 action in the LCK, you're talking about him right up there with the same levels as Delight and Kyria.
You go to that 2v5, you know, with the Nautilus and everything, and you're saying that this is exactly the same type of play, the same quality that we saw when we're going back to, you know, look back at the 2v4, 2v5 that Ruler had with Missing back in the LPL, which was one of the highlight plays of the year back then. This is really important to talk about the synergy, the communication, and just cohesiveness that this bottom lane has developed over time for GenG, as they both have become comfortable together, you know, individually, back on the team, all these things. And it's really paying off when everything is already going well for GenG.
So 11-0 now, GenG, they stay perfect. And how about this? Going back to 2023 summer, GenG, during that stretch, that's almost 2 years. In the best of 3 regular season, they have lost 6 series total. Going back to 2023.
Now, there is obviously some appreciation, some congratulations about all those type of things. But how do you convert that? How do you take that currency and cash it in for a world championship? That is the dilemma. That is the big puzzle for GenG. And I think the way that they solve it right now, Chovy playing like a god in the mid lane, and then you get the backup firepower from this 2v2 duo bottom lane right here. GenG looking pretty.
Maybe not world championship aspirations, but the lower bracket run for Losratones begins against Venom Crest. And let me tell you, the strategy was obvious for Venom Crest from the get-go in this series. They pick 4 Bouse champions in game 1, and this is a best of 5. Remember, we're in the lower bracket. This is elimination, go home. And then Volibear and Vi also picked on the side of the Rats. So that's 6 Bouse champions in the very first game.
Oh man, what a strategy, and what a world that we live in, that we get to have something like this here. Because I promise you, even in the LCK, LPL, go further down LEC, LTA, I don't think you're seeing any strategy quite as aggressively bold like this one was, to say, you know what? he is one of your win conditions. He is a very important part of everything that moves around with this team in his lane and outside of things as we get later. Just shut him down. Throw him on something uncomfortable. Throw him on something different, whatever that you can't really plan and work around. I like that idea. It didn't work is the very important thing that we need to examine in this series, unfortunately for Venom Crest on the day. But I love the strategy coming into it and being creative in that type of battle.
And listen, you heard the comms from Cadril and the boys. They were already kind of thinking about the rest of the series. They're like, okay, what are we going to pick going forward? And Reckless, especially, and Cadril kind of pumped the brakes, said, guys, we'll worry about the draft in the next game. We got to play through this game. And the strategy looked great. The Renekton in game 2 was a bit wishy-washy for Baus. They relied on Crowny Zeri. But then in game 3, they forgot about the Poppy. The Poppy had been banned, and we know Baus can play Poppy just as good as anybody.
All that effort into the picks and bans and the games that have gone through, and you leave this one behind. This is the stinker of that strategy because it just sinks everything. It's the battleship destroyer right here because Poppy steps on in, and it's one of these champions, again, whenever you're trying to get away from someone's comfort type of pick, this is one of those ones that I identify, and I always like to think of Akron guys because of how disruptive a Poppy can be to an enemy team on what you're wanting to do, how you're wanting to set up for anything. Poppy just says, no, that's not happening. You're going to play the way that we are going to dictate how things are going to go, and especially in the hands of someone like Thousand, something that has familiarity with him, with so much familiar stuff taken away. You knew that this one was going to be done and dusted, and it is for the Losratones moving on.
Yeah, the 3-0, they I think game 2 they had 33 kills in like 23 minutes. It was game 3, there was pushback, and Venom Crest actually had the lead for the majority of the early to mid game before they turned around some team fights, but they survive. It's still a long bracket round. They've got at least one more best of 5, but they need 3 more best of 5 still if they want to come back and get the back-to-back title in the NLC.
Oh, I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping the lower bracket run continues. The miracles keep rolling for Losratones. And I will say again, one of the best things about this whole experience and everything that's been going on with it is that comms, is that insight in these specific moments for these players and type of things to examine as you laid out. Reckless and Cage are coming through and saying, guys, that's a problem for like 30 minutes from now. That's not now's problem to solve. We got to figure out all these type of things. This type of communication, these type of insights are always things that I think are really beneficial for the scene to see.
Yeah, and again, we've obviously talked ad nauseum about the impacts that the scrim reveal and sharing that the boys have had throughout, and no exception today, seeing the inside and outs of, again, Baus being target banned and even being targeted in the game, getting ganked over and over, but to no avail as they go for the 3-0 on to the next round 4 action in the NLC. But that is it today for League Unlocked. Eric and Mark here with you, absolute gorgeous individuals. Thanks for hanging out as always, and you know we will catch you on that flippity flip.